venues, such as the theatre and auditoria, have illuminated escape path lighting to guide you to the nearest emergency exits. Please follow the instructions given by the fully trained QNCC staff and move quickly to the nearest emergency exit, following the signs until you are outside the building. Once outside, you will be directed to the nearest assembly point where you will receive further instructions. If you discover a fire, please raise the alarm using the manual call point. This will immediately activate the emergency evacuation sequence. All alarms will be responded to by the QNCC team. If you require first aid assistance, please approach a member of the QNCC team. QNCC is a non-smoking venue, and smoking is not permitted at any time in any part of the venue. Should you wish to smoke, please use the designated smoking areas which are located outside the building. Thank you for watching. On behalf of all of us at Qatar National Convention Centre, we hope you enjoy a safe and memorable visit.
So.
Welcome back to our plenary, yet another plenary session. What exciting days we have had yesterday and today. So much has happened in this convention centre. We've all known new people, we've touched new topics. We've definitely gone beyond the margins while keeping within the margins. I, for one, am so grateful for all that happened here. Before we begin, I would like to tell you that this session will also be subtitled live through automatic translation through the automatic translation system, but you do have the opportunity to watch it on your cell phone. So should you want to receive the transcription and the translation on your cell phone, just get a QR code and we are ready to go. They will also be shown up on screen in the event of not wanting to watch it on your cell phone. So when you're ready to go, we are ready to go. And let's begin. This session is going to be very, very informal. We have asked our distinguished guests to sit through sessions to enjoy what was being presented there. And I now am asking them, please, to share their impressions with the rest of us. And you will notice that we do have another special guest on the stage today. My colleague, Dr. Ahmed from QCRI. He is one of the team, the mastermind behind the system that has now gone on live. And he too will be here to summarize what this is all about. Our main aim is now to establish dialogue, to talk to each other. So the floor is all yours, and probably we will keep the order of presentations that we had in our opening. And please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we started very well by sort of setting a spectrum, setting by spectrum of the subject that we are to discuss. Now, and since what could be more different from community interpreting, which is intimate, which is human, situational, and then on the other hand, we had the video games industry, virtual, technological, graphic. So for me, that was a very nice spectrum of things that were sort of setting the different limits. We also were challenged with the technology, seeing how it works. And like somebody was saying, I also noticed how machine was learning. Sort of trying to read what it was saying. When somebody was saying France, it linked to Francois Hollande. I think, oh, what he's doing here. But then machine, corrected France itself immediately. Yeah? So for me, that was a very good setting of the margins of the spectrum of things. Now, the second remark, which was for me very impressive, diving into the fundamentals of translation, was this morning, where you had the pleasure to listen to presentations really going into the fundamentals, into the definitions of what translation is, into the definitions and analysis of equivalence. Does it exist? Somebody was saying it's a myth. And then I thought, okay, we need to bring it back once more, sort of if equivalence is a myth, so what is a reality? And I think there were good insights into that. Discussion of loyalty, in translation, whom or what are you loyal to? The source or the target, the source culture or the target culture, the reader or the writer, and again the balance between the finding the true meanings and creating the true meanings was very encouraging also to myself. Finally, the very good discussion on what makes translators happy. Slovak, literally translators in this sense, and I think the notions of linguistic hedonism and people finding the pleasure in the process of translation, I think is also remarkable. Last but not least, we spent just now a good hour on continuing discussion with Professor Vogel and Professor Cocker here on human intelligence versus artificial intelligence. And I think the right balance and sort of sobering notes are always coming from the people, from knowledgeable people. The more you know about artificial intelligence, the more you say, oh, maybe this is not that artificial, and maybe this is not that intelligent. This is algorithm, which we make it into it, and what matters is what we want it to be, how do we want to employ it. So for me, these are the good parameters, the good margins that you were attacking, and I think we could still try to come once again onto some of this.
Thank you very much. Could we have your input, please?
So I'm inspired at this point. I thought it was an impressive conference in terms of the diversity of topics and the quality of the presentations that I was able to go to, and I feel very grateful for the opportunity to be exposed to examples and case studies and topics and reflections that maybe in my daily life feel very far away. So being here in Qatar, I had the opportunity to listen to analysis and stories that were very interesting to me. Some examples are the translation or suitability in audiovisual translation to movies like The Vendetta, The Simpsons, to Arabic. The Armenian testimonies translated into Turkish, experiences of layered identity within culture, within the Arab culture and outside of it. All of those topics, like I said, are generally further away than they were for me at this conference. So a theme that emerged, in my opinion, and it makes me hopeful in reality is if I can present this polarity or this spectrum between rigidity and flexibility, I feel like in many of the presentations we had that contrast emerge between rigidity in, for example, the quality of translation. What does it mean for a translation to be of good quality? Today, especially with the panel on crowdsourced projects, we had that concept of the dynamic concept for quality, and what does it mean for the product to be a product of quality. Also with the machine translation, the artificial intelligence and translation, the rigid point of view in the past was, no, if machine translation comes to the profession, then translators are out of the picture. What does that mean for us? Today it is, how do we integrate artificial intelligence so that there's this collaboration between humans and machines? That is a much more flexible perspective, less rigid, and I think that is the way forward. Another example of this polarity is with what does it mean to be a professional translator, or what does it mean to be suitable for the task of translation, with the example of activist projects where maybe the most suitable person for the task is not the professional translator that is trained in a interpreting and translation school, but rather somebody who is who is part of the activist community. Again, it requires us to open our minds and be more flexible. And then, I guess more related to my topic with community interpreting, the rigidity where we started with in interpreting studies, where it was the machine model, the interpreter as a machine that is neutral, that conveys messages that are fully equivalent. And with the presentations on sign language, one on education and the sign language interpreter in an educational setting, but also the interpreters that became part of a protest at Gallaudet University, that was a questioning of that rigidity of the ethics of neutrality and impartiality, and what does it take when you take it to the reality? What does it mean to be an interpreter that is devoted to the cause? In the case of the protests, it means I leave aside some of the impartiality aspects, but I do embrace them and I become part of the protest, not as someone who is protesting, but someone who is giving voice to those who need to protest. So it was an interesting case study. In the case of the educational setting, what does it mean to be doing sign language interpreting when there's no when the concepts that need to be explained do not exist as such in French sign language nowadays. So again, from the rigidity of there's one way of doing to, well, reality tells us that we need to be flexible and there needs to be an open-mindedness to this. I will leave it to that. I was very touched also by the panel this morning with the exploration of layered identities. And again, there, I feel like some of the comments were also within this continuum of rigidity versus flexibility, with the engagement with the engagement with the untranslatable and the unreconcilable is not a taboo anymore, or the prejudice against affairs with other languages is not the case anymore, and being hybrid is not something non-desirable anymore. It's kind of like what we all are. So I will leave it to that. Thank you.
Wonderful impressions. And one more, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So, well, first of all, congratulations to the organizers, because I think you set the bar very high in every way, not just with the content, all the other issues, on the specifics of the conference. For me, the conference has been excellent, because it puts me in a place where it's difficult, in the sense that I don't know anything about the Arab world, really. I don't know the Arab language. So for me to listen to all these conversations and seminars on the issues being discussed is very, very enriching, very mind-opening. And it forces me back into the student position, which actually I enjoy very much. I've seen, like the colleagues have already mentioned, how complex the issues remain, how very passionate, how emotional sometimes, all these very rational debates. Hopefully we all moving from the traditore traditore type of slogan, which for me sounds kind of silly, not only insulting, and the bell hasn't been down and all this, because it's just unfair, and it's just a process of communication that we are bridging. Monolingualism seems to me is more the exception rather than the rule, although it may seem like it's a rule. I think most people across the world, even if they are not translators themselves, probably do have several languages or several varieties. And I think that is probably the nature of things, because we are negotiating our communities, our jobs, the different environments we frequent, whether professionally, emotionally, or friends. And this is part of what we do all the time. The fact that we do it professionally, it's just it's a professional decision. It doesn't mark any other thing. It links directly to identity. For some people, the language is their identity. I think for many of us, or for me in any case, I've been lucky enough to live in different countries and live in different languages. And that for me is my identity. My identity is that variety, that hybridity. The fact that I was born in the States is more an accidental thing of biology than any other thing. The concepts we've been seeing here, we've even been talking about Darwin and adaptation, and I think translation and interpreting is part of that. Darwin is adaptation, we adapt to whatever the situation is, but the environment is a human environment. I find that very, very interesting. When it fits that into what I do in my research, localization makes a machine that is a cold item, is just a mechanical thing, whether it's digital or not. Localization puts options into a machine. Localization makes machines into things you can interact with. And the interaction a few years ago would have been with levers, then it would have been with buttons. Now it's with icons on a screen, and then it's with words, and now it's voice activated or gesture activated. And in video game localization, you have most of these items, and the process of localization there, which is translation plus all the other adaptations that the product requires to be successful in another place, makes it very much more complex. But unfortunately, the industry remains working as if this game machine is the old, the traditional literary text that inhabits only word world. The machine lives in a machine world, and that interactivity needs to be mediated in a different way. Translators in the world of localization are co-creators. They share the authorship because more often than not, the biggest company need to want to go for the simultaneous shipment of the product. So on average, 12, 15, 20 languages on launch. That means that the writers and the translators are working together at the same time. That's what they call co-creation. So translators, hopefully, you don't see yourself as a slave to the source text, but someone that co-creates and co-builds this world for the benefit of other people that cannot access the source text. This is what we've always done. We've always been enablers. So I think it's fantastic that there is such a great flourishing industry, not only in terms of academic research, but also professional translators that are greatly needed for this part of the world. Thank you.
The word machine has come up quite a few times this afternoon throughout these 2 days, and machine definitely is the word of the conference. And with that word, I move on to our colleague and a very special guest to have here today. And publicly, I would really like to thank QCRI team for doing what you are doing so well and for letting us be part of your dream. So thank you very much. We'd like to know more about
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's our pleasure as well. I mean, thank you very much for this opportunity to showcase our technology that we developed here at the center. So we thank you all, thank you to the madam and the college and the police and team. So basically, just to try to decompose this machine, I mean, you are seeing here. So basically, this system, what we call speech to text, and so we are adding to it translation. So it has like 2 main components that are involved, and these 2 different technologies that have been developed like maybe in the last 20, 30 years, and now become much more sophisticated, and it's been deployed like all over us. Like, for example, one of the main components is speech to text, which is called automatic speech recognition, or simply ASR. So ASR, what it does, so it does take the audio and convert it to text. For example, if I speak in English, so takes my voice, my audio, the sounds, and convert them to words. So this is the first technology, and you can see it in the panel. So we have like 2 panels. The first one is where the speech is being converted into text, and then the next phase is to take that text in that specific language and translate it into the new language. So we are trying to emulate or imitate the translator. So with all his cognitive and capacities and capabilities. So this is what the technology is trying to do. So we can view this system as an assistive technology. It tries to help the human to carry out some tasks which they may be burdensome or maybe require too much effort. And so this is what technology in general does. Like, for example, similar to, if you can view it to the self-driving car, maybe, so this is the same thing. So we are building small tool, small toy that does something like that to the translator. So translator maybe, if he can view this technology as an assistive technology that can help him focus more on more important things, and or maybe rather than he will spend his time researching, like for example, the keywords. So now you already have a draft, so that you can maybe just correct or improve or specialize. So this technology doesn't come with risks, for sure. It comes with challenges and risks. Among these challenges here is basically we are humans, so I have my own accent with my background, maybe all of us coming from either native or not native. So this is challenges. How can one single machine be able to decipher all the speeches from different people? So this is one challenge. The other challenge also is like, for example, okay, what if you hear a word that you have never heard before? So human can use his faculties and use his background and capabilities to maybe guess or try to think within the context, maybe he meant such and such. So the machine is still far away from this. So there is still margin where the human still beats the machine for sure. And the other challenge in terms of the translation is same thing. I mean, the machine translation part where text like from one language to another one is built basically on what we call parallel corpus, where you have like two texts in different languages, but there are translation of each other, or maybe the very accurate translation. So using a lot of them, a lot of these connections, so we can basically using either like statistics or maybe what the translator are familiar with, like for example, translation memory, where you have like a word and what's equivalent to that specific phrase or sentence. So, but we take it one step further, where the machine using statistics and the latest technology called neural networks be able to infer what from one text an equivalent output translation. So this is the challenges there will be, like for example, if you have only, like for example, some languages we don't have good coverage, we have only a text about the news, then you are presented with a new text about economy, about sports, about like a medical domain. Then, so how you deal with this? So this is still, I mean, a lot of open questions that need to be answered, and also needs more efforts in terms of providing a suitable data to be able to translate in the accurate possible.
Mm-hmm. So you do not need to be afraid of your machine.
Not yet.
Thank you very much. So the floor is now open for a dialogue. Please, let's have your questions, let's have your comments, let's have your take on what happened here these 2 days. You are free to comment only, to ask questions to our keynote speakers. You are even invited still to ask each other questions, challenge us a little further. Anybody who wants to start?
Can we have suggestions for next year's theme?
Absolutely. We would also take suggestions for next year's theme. This year's theme was suggested in last year's conference, and it really worked. So please, who would like to start? As usual, the first question is a difficult question. Excellent. After that, please, Ina.
I'd like to ask the gentleman from the QCRI, what is the percentage of accuracy we're talking about when we're seeing the speech translation, and how common this, how wide this new practice is going to be available in the Arabic world? Is it available in other places or just here in Qatar?
In terms of accuracy, so there are like different levels. I mean, for us as technical people, so we do have our measurement. We call it like so there are a number of measurements called either like by translation error, number of percentage of errors if you compare the output and what expected. So basically what we do to measure the performance of translation is first, I mean, we have what we call gold standard. For example, you give the machine something to translate, and then so the machine will give you an output, and then you compare it with whatever, for example, the translator have prepared. Then you can compare number of errors, how much error have made. I mean, with this, so there are a number of metrics, call them TER, or call them blue, or the rouge, or some other metrics. They are just statistical metrics to compare these two texts. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like for example, when we talk and then see that the system produced, I mean, accurate transcription or not. So that's also for that technology ASR. There are also some metrics to measure the accuracy. When you talk about like its availability in the Arab world, I mean there are a number of research groups in the Arab world who are working on this field. The issue is how big, how sophisticated their system is it open or not? Maybe I can speak about I mean our team or our group. So we moved along. This is about like 4 or 5 years since we have something already open to the public. We moved from statistical based technology to new technology called neural network or deep learning, and still there is a lot of room to improve because one of our bottleneck is availability of data to train on. So we have acquired a lot of data from open sources like subtitling for different movies. So this is one of the copies available in multiple languages, and it's available and we use it for training. But for some other domains, like for example, one of the domains like legal or literature, I know that our system maybe will fail miserably.
Thank God.
Who asked the question? I didn't see. Okay. So I just wanted to add. So the speech recognition has been used for several years to do automatic subtitling for Al Jazeera, and they actually put it into the archive, so you can when you see the subtitles, they're actually generated by the.
Excuse me, sorry, please. The interpreters need the microphone. Please. So sorry, Steve.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I'll introduce Stefan. He's the director of our group at the KCRI, the director of Arabic Language Technologies.
I apologize for interrupting.
Yes, sure. So let me just repeat. So the speech recognition system, our Arabic version, has been used for several years to automatically subtitle videos which come from Al Jazeera. So this is an ongoing process, and then when it goes into their archives, this is actually, and from what we understand, there's hardly any post-editing done on it. So the quality is good enough that it can be actually used kind of showing it to the outside world, right? On the translation side, we don't have so far this kind of deployment And on speech recognition, actually, we also have other departments, even these government organizations here. On the translation side, we have also companies coming and saying, your system is good enough for our work. It's not because we publish the translations, but because we need to understand documents which come in where we need to do some analytics on it for our customers, right? And then it's not so much about the percentage, it is more about the usability. Do you get value out of it? You know, when you go to a web page and you can automatically translate it in another language, in a language you understand, you get value out of it. And this is what I see, you know, can we produce value for people to actually use it?
My question is regarding this technology. Are you claiming or did you claim intellectual property rights on it?
So the translator typically they do have you sign disclaimer and you have legal maybe bindings or there is a legal legal or some terms between you and the employer that you produce the translation for. So it's registered as an intellectual property, right? Oh, you mean the system itself? Yeah. The system itself. We have components, not not the whole thing. Yes, we have components of it that is being registered for the property. Yes.
Another question at the back? Sorry? Okay. Sure, please. So, 1, 2, 3. Please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I still have a question about machine translation or translation technology in general. As you know, as we all know, the technology started with machine translation, and because of its failure to get the desired results, it turned it into a CAD tool or computer-assisted translation tools. That was like in the 50s or 60s of last century. Now, after like 60 or 70 years now, are we still facing the same problems that were the cause of the failure of MT, the first initial tries of MT, or the challenges are different? That's the first part of my question. And I also want to know more about the adaptive MT. Is it a kind of something in between, a middle solution for this type of challenges that we are talking about? And the third part of the question is about paratext or paralingual corpus. Is there any kind of defined formula for a corpus to be useful for MT, for an MT engine, or is it something that's open? Because I know that lots of MT engine, they use the paratext that's found online, and we don't have any kind of undefined criteria for the quality of the paratext that's found online. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad. And I think this is one of the causes of the failure of MT engines right now, is that they are using the corpus that's found online, not the corpus that's made by humans. So at the end of the day, it reflects the bad quality of the paratext. So it's not a fault of the MT engine itself, it's a fault of the corpus that the MT is using. So that's my question.
Yeah, I did. So, yeah, so let me so the talking about like the machine translation has not evolved from like say 30-40 years ago, and so it's still considered as like assistive technology rather than like taking over. I think it's probably this is like maybe undermining the idea, but I think the machine translation have maybe expanded to cover a lot of areas, and maybe as Stefan has mentioned, so there are some areas where, for example, you don't want an exact 100% accurate translation. So if you can get like what called digest, so you get like an outcome from translation. This is good enough for you to do the job. So depends on you what's the task is employed for and what's the purpose of translation. Probably there are different satisfaction limits or levels there. So if you want, like for example, a document to be certified for translation, probably yes, machine translation is a little bit far away from that point. But if you want to understand document, you want to get the meaning or what's in the document, so probably fair, decent machine translation can do the job. You mentioned about the second question about the adaptive machine translation. So this is one of the still open areas of research where, for example, you have your systems being trained on some domain. So how much or how far you can go if you bring it to other areas? So how you can adapt it to other domains? So there are a lot of research on it on this area. I mean, with different results and different outcomes, where you try to adapt your machine translation or your outcome of machine translation to other domains. So at the end will be what's your expectation? If you want to get like 100%, or maybe if you get you are satisfied with 50% of the document. So this is all depends on the user and what the outcomes he is. The last question you talked about, like what are the qualities of parallel copies that could be used for machine translation? So certainly, so basically, if you have something good, if you have good quality or good parallel copies, so you should be able to get like a very good machine translation. If you feed it with something bad or something not good, so for sure this will impact directly the quality. So there are some other research in the area of machine translation where they can try to learn from what they call not completely parallel corpora, but like, for example, if you have pseudo parallel, or maybe not completely not parallel, can you extract from it like some sentences and passages which they are parallel and you can employ them. So at the end is all about like the quality of the data that you are going to use it for this machine translation. If you have some good and large data, so probably will adapt with some good system. But if you have just limited data, so then this will reflect on the limitation of the machine processing system for sure.
Okay, last point, please.
May I, I'm very sorry. May I suggest, I'm sorry to interrupt, because machine translation is, in fact, a heated topic. Might we please have a round of questions on other topics, and then we will return to machines, if you do not mind? I apologize to those who really want to ask questions. Let's go, let's move on to a different topic for now. We'll come back, I promise.
Yes, my question to Mr. Martinokis from the European. As you said yesterday, you are translating around 24 languages, in any meeting or summit in European gathering. Whereas we are looking, the Arab world, they are speaking one language. I don't know, they agree not to agree. This is what we are learning and hearing. And what you, suggest, as for new generation to adapt and learn from the European Union regarding translation. Once the Arabs were the bridge of civilization in translation, do they return to that stage? Thank you very much.
Would anybody else have a question for the same speaker? You would join one or two questions in one go? No? Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the last question. I wouldn't go into all the details of European multilingualism, but this is at the basis of the principles that the member states, the founders of the organization, are to agree about many things, and the languages that they use, or the linguistic regime that they use, is one of those. As you had seen in the sort of metro station looking chart, in 1958, when there were 6 countries coming together, 6 countries, 4 languages, they couldn't agree about one language, so they said, okay, we will use the languages of those 6 countries, but only 4 languages. It is always a good question for the students to guess which were those countries and which were those languages. But I would go to the constitutional, to the contractual basis of this, and to the objectives that this or that organization or this or that arrangement would put for itself. And I would caution myself from giving advices sort of from the European continent to another region or to another organization. The fact that it does work in Europe, the fact that it did work in Europe, I think it's very cherishable. I think this says and tells quite a bit also what is behind of multilingual organization. I think this also shows that the countries that make up the European Union, they do not lose their identity, they do not lose their sovereignty, if you wish, but this is a European model which works for us, and those who want to learn from it, they are welcome to use or to exchange best practice of that.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Well, actually, it's just a comment. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody in this panel. It has been a very interesting and worthwhile experience. For me, I learned so much. So actually, the conclusion that I got from the conference is that machine is never going, I mean, at the moment, machine is not going to replace translators. But we have to understand that the task of the translator is shifting. So we have to train our translators differently now. So they have to be able to work with machines from now on. Because this is the word that we hear in the conference, machine. Almost everybody mentioned this term. So I think there should be a shift in the way we train translators and future translators. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to the conference. It's been really illuminating. I have a comment and a general question. The comment is basically that I'm looking right now at the title of the conference, Translation Beyond the Margins, and to me, as many scholars have called for non-Western perspective necessarily, I'm in the US, and it's been, to me also, translation studies beyond the margins, getting away from, it was my first time I had the chance to interact with people from Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Mauritania, Morocco, from Qatar, from all over the Arab world. And then I see that there's some issues such as like that have been illuminated to me, and as far as like translation in general, this part of the world could contribute, such as the different dialects and the issues of like something about subtitling, and we started to use this morning talking about whether to change your identity through changing your dialect from one to the other, which is extremely illuminating to me. Because I work in the US where I have students from all over Latin America. Each of them have their own variety. It's very different. It's less diverse, but I saw myself represented, like the issues that I have in my teaching every day, and to have what do we do with the Spanish, for example, in there, and we have so many, and I see, and also issues of audiovisual market, which we discussed here, issues of literature, when in Spain they can translate a piece of work, and then they tell me that in Mexico they don't want to read Spanish slang. It's weird to see an Arab work translating to Spanish with Spanish slang from Spain when you read it. Is this dislocation of different identities, etc. And then the question is, I don't know if there's, because we have also seen some things from like non-Western perspective, what can issues related to this area of the world can contribute to transition studies in general in that regard. There's issues that I would like to see issues that can be solved, and I've seen many here. I don't want to mention them necessarily, but which kind of issues would contribute to the rest of the world? I see a parallel between the standard Arabic and localization, or they call it glocalization, trying to get the culture. Today they were talking about how you have to get almost everything away from the standard Arabic to be able to localize, and it's very interesting. And for a topic, I thought about a topic, and after being here for the first time, and I see so much motion of construction, ideas, people, all kind of languages, all kind of like restaurants from all over the world, all kinds of cuisines. I see this kind of like massive motion, and I thought a topic that has been done, I don't know if it's done before, would be translation in flux, translation in movement, because the emotions of people, here we talk of people moving and changing their identity, so translation is what we call intralingual translation. They're translating themselves into Arabic or from another country, erasing their own identity, etc. And it happens a lot, and there's digital text moving across the world, etc. I think it would be a really interesting topic. And also translation. Thank you.
Thank you. Comment?
She did.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I think that, well, I see language as a simplification of communication. One of my colleagues in different studied animal communication, and when I look at human communication, we made the assumption that language is the only thing, and it's not. Language is just a fraction of communication. How that applies to translation is, for centuries, for millennia, the translation has been focused on words only, and most of that written words only. Hence the theories around translation in that sense. When it comes to globalization, what is happening there is that companies that are global, with a global ambition and a global plan, to basically sell their product anywhere and everywhere, they're more mindful of this, and they're less worried about who is the author. They're just less worried about that because that's not the focus. So in the globalization paradigm, a company will design a product or redesign a product in view of the new markets that they're going to be entering, and therefore prepare the source and the target equally and at the same time. That is actually, for me, I think it's a much more realistic view for that particular type of model. One-to-one communication is bipolar, but in the globalization model, it's one-to-one, it's one-to-many, and many-to-many, which is what we see here when everybody's having conversations in different languages, different dialects, and it's all okay. So to prepare that, to prepare translators for that, and to prepare scholars to teach that for the new generations of translators, is quite a shift in paradigm, and a very necessary one. It doesn't undo what was there before, it just complements and supplements it, makes it even better and more specific. What it means to me is that probably we're going to be doing more specialized courses or more specialized because the industries are there to employ those very specific specialists. Very interesting.
And the dialogue is heating up. We've got 5 people in line.
Just a thank you to everybody for other speakers and people attending, and thank you to Fatima for being our worldwide logistics manager. I just wanted to put forward an idea that came out of this morning's discussion about whether you use English or Arabic to trigger change within cultures, and coming off what has happened over the past few years with depictions of Islam in the West and very much the world post 9/11. I think it would be nice, and I'm not ripping off Luis von Floto, so quick disclaimer, translating women or translating gender, bring us your feminist translators, bring us your feminism, present it to us, and let's have dialogue, because this is a thing where I think that in the West we are failing to understand feminism here, and perhaps the same happens vice versa. But it would be nice to kind of fight against this tide of the West dominating feminism, but also understanding other feminisms and finding our common pathway, also with regards to disability and other aspects of identity politics. Thank you.
Here in Qatar, allow me to speak on behalf of the Qatar I am part of these days. We are creating a culture of diversity. Dr. Mao is the best spokesperson we have on feminism, and not in the feminist attacking traditional way, but in the sense of the deserving, fair, you can use the term social justice, inclusion, gender inclusion, and the same applies to access. It's very interesting that in a country such as this, that is growing at such a high speed, we are seeing these two issues as strong pillars of the future. And that is very gratifying, and I agree, probably we are also doing something towards improving the world. We definitely have to make it more known, absolutely. Yes, and we have 4 or 5 people in line. You were ready for? Who was the first one? You have the, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm not going to mention the word machine. And I had a presentation yesterday, but I'm from Montreal, Canada. And I began by saying that translation used to be literary translation. But during the Nuremberg trials, first time they used something called simultaneous translation or interpretation. That was a landmark. But here I find that literary translation has been pushed to margins because they are topics that deal with technology, that deal with machine translation, that deal with all kinds of things, but not literary translation. And I think we should go back to the basics also in terms of talking about literature, because I translate from Hindi into French, and Hindi into English, and from English and French into Hindi also. And I find that there are things that you can translate from Hindi into French, but you cannot translate from Hindi into English. Problems like these, and because literary translation is something you cannot do by machine. There has to be a human element there. So we should go back to that also a little bit. And here I hardly found anything that has to do with literature. And that is a very important part of translation, because that's what translation used to be about. Either translating the classics or the ancient text, religious texts, but they were mostly classics also and literature also. So I think we should go back to that a little bit. And I don't know what has been the topic of conversation in the past conferences here, but certainly I look forward to that in the future, And also perhaps another topic that I briefly talked to Dr. Ahmad in the morning is post-colonial studies and translation. There's another department who each colony, had their own problem of translation and how they deal with that. So these, one is simply an observation, the other is a suggestion for the next year's or future years conferences.
We will take note.
Thank you.
And on that note, I would like to say this conference, in fact, is about going beyond the margins. However, we did tackle literature with that perspective. This morning we had a very interesting panel that touched upon identity, language in literary translation. And we did have a few other, I will admit that we've had so many interesting and parallel sessions that it's easy to miss one or the other. But absolutely yes, the fact that we are looking beyond the margins doesn't mean that we forget what is traditional, mainstream, conventional, and we need that as much as we need going beyond those margins. Next, please.
Thank you, Dr. Joselia. You've just given me the perfect transition to my comment, actually, because I was about to say, to go back to Dr. Sophia's comment about this tension between rigidity and flexibility. Flexibility was the right word? Yeah. Or fluidity, perhaps. Yeah, both are interesting. And it goes back to movement, so thank you, Miguel, for your suggestion. I think it's a very good topic you came up with. It is actually very, what I saw across the different presentations is that there is a growing awareness of translators and interpreters, voices, dubbers, working at both levels. At the micro level of interaction, where they do real hardcore translation and interpreting, but another upper level where they actually take decision over how this should be translated, what should be translated, how the translation should be planned. And sometimes they don't have that power. They would like to have that power. They have a lot of knowledge on how things should be done, but they are not empowered to actually contribute at the level of the organization, or as Miguel has shown in his own study of video game localization, translators are not actually able to perform really well if they do not have access to context. So if we now change the shift paradigm and we try to think of translators and interpreters being actually involved in the very production phase, which is really the trend forward, apparently, across modalities, it has a lot of consequences for teaching, actually. And you were speaking about social justice just a minute ago. If we want to make sure that the future generations can take over the fight, because we're not going to always be here, we really need our trainees not only to be trained in translation and interpreting proper, but to be trained at the upper level of being able to manage, to take decisions, to go and be hired within the companies that will shape the policies of access, of women access, disabled access, language minorities access, and I don't have an answer to that, but I think even teachers, we do not really have an answer to that. The best way is to actually create the space for the new generation of trainees to be equipped to go at the right level of decision making within the companies and the civil society organizations to make a difference. Thank you.
It takes me a while, honestly, to chew on all the content, and I feel like generally I come up with ideas a little bit later. I'm now catching up with Miguel, so I'm gonna go. Actually, I think it's the way I function. I'm a slow thinker, and I like to work in depth. So, but it's just like not helping. I will get to that. I think I comment on that. So one thing about what I presented on yesterday, it was just yesterday, on the concept of communicative autonomy. That idea of autonomy is very much an idea of I think of the United States and the Western world. And when we think about healthcare and autonomy in decision making in healthcare, and I think of situations back in Spain, where I'm from originally, and patient autonomy, and I wonder, well, we don't always respect patient autonomy that much. It's culturally almost inappropriate to do that. So we're going on this assumption that autonomy is the desirable thing, and I'm going towards a frame about communicative autonomy in that way. And I really value Miguel's suggestion to have that cross-pollination of worlds, fields. I wonder what I would come up with if I was surrounded by an international audience, an international community of this kind, where maybe the centrality of autonomy is not there. So I was reflecting on that, and I definitely take your point of, or that invitation of thinking beyond those margins of your world conception and what is desirable, and thinking beyond that, and thinking how would our theories, the things that we propose, how would they change? And I'm very open to that right now, taking it in.
The word autonomy, I think, would also be another word for our purpose. In a way or the other, translation is giving the other person autonomy to think for themselves, even if through our own input, our work, enables, another word that was used quite often. I'm sorry, we have one last question because time is just flying.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep short. Autonomy vis-à-vis the machine, good idea. Translation in motion, emotion, E/motion, also nice, which covers many things we have seen today and yesterday. I like very much the idea of shortening the gap between the translation training programs, which are internationally recognized and quite similar all over the world, and then the new profession, which becomes also quite similar across the world, and there is a gap. So if we can manage and have ideas of having that gap closed with new training modules, with training systematically changing ways of training too, because that also changes the educational world, and I think we will have a very nice and enriching congress next year. Learn deep learning, but also teach deep learning. We are in the middle of a nice evolution of the profession, which should go at par with a nice and enriching evolution of the training, of the research also. I very much like the idea of keeping the fundamentals of translation, which is crucial, I think, because if we do not master the fundamentals of translation, what are we going to do against robots? We keep the fundamentals and the autonomy of the human in the machine. I stop.
Thank you very much. Autonomy, flux, movement, fundamentals, machine versus human, diversity, respect for that diversity, linguistic, cultural, personal diversity, technology, where technology is taking us. We would definitely stay here the whole afternoon and the whole of tomorrow and the next week and the next year. We cannot do so. Please allow me to thank you all, thank our guest speakers, thank our interpreters, the people behind the scenes. Enablers that have been translating all sorts of things for us throughout these 2 days. Allow me please to call to the stage our founding dean, Dr. Amal, for the final words and closing of our conference.
Thank you so much. I don't want to end it. This year's conference, Translation Beyond the Margins, tackled multiple topics on multiple layers. We talked about techniques, methods, interpreting audiovisual, video games, artificial intelligence and machine translation. We also talked about translation and identity politics, translation and gender politics, and translation and cultural politics. We welcomed 43 speakers from more than 20 countries. We welcomed more than 300 delegates. We held 10 panels and 2 workshops. Our local and global communities heard us. We live streamed, we engaged with many worldwide via social media. God knows how many new followers I have now on Twitter. The conference's hashtag was trending for the past 2 days. We were #1 local trend yesterday. And believe it or not, today we're competing with the National Museum grand opening hashtag. We're alternating between 2 and 3, but still very good. If you're planning to stay in Qatar for a day or two, I encourage you, I actually urge you to visit the National Museum of Qatar, as it is an iconic national and international landmark and the home for breathtaking gallery spaces. Please do pay it a visit. Let's see, we have several themes for next year, but you know what, we won't stop here. Please email us, tweet us, connect with us as you like, using any medium, any language you like, and suggest other themes. Now, our lovely communication team of the college, headed by Ms. Nada Al-Mahmid here, we have Amin, we have Riman, we have Hamish, and we have Rocky. They worked non-stop for the last 48 hours. They are responsible of the visuals, identity, and gifts you received. And Rocky, who has produced the following video as well, I don't think he had lunch today. Now, we want to show you the video. I haven't seen it, so I'm not responsible of what you're going to see. Let's watch it together.
Thank you, Dr. Mount, for these 10 years of conferences. Thank you, all my colleagues, for all the hard work that you've put into preparing this conference. And thank every single one of you for traveling so many long hours to this fantastic Qatar, and you are really, really welcome. I think conferences really live while we are interacting freely with each other, not behind one of these mics. We hope to have what may be the first fully accessible conference in Arabic in the Middle East.
والحمد لله المؤتمر جيد ومفيد، ولذلك يعني نسعى انه نتحصل على افضل قدر من الوعي فيه، ونتعرف على بعض الاخوان المترجمين ان شاء الله في الغرفه. نسعى ان شاء الله نفتتح ماجستير الترجمه ان شاء الله لهذا العام.
كترانسليتر لازم يجي يحضروا لانه في كثير معلومات بتفيد الترانسليتر وبتفيدنا لمهنتنا وانترستنج.
This is a great opportunity for anyone in the field of translation to attend such an event.
The event is very interesting and it tackles a very important current issue, which is marginalization. I'd like to come next time as well.
لأنه في كل عام يكون هناك شيء جديد وأضيف إلى مهنتي وإلى خبرتي أضيف شيء من هذا الحضور.
I'll conclude by saying that the success of this conference would have not been possible without the outstanding team I have. And I would like to thank, first of all, the volunteers. Thank you. Where are they? I'd like to thank others by name. the chair of the scientific committee, Dr. Jazilia Natash. I'd like to wholeheartedly thank our colleagues from HBKU's Qatar Computing Research Institutes. I've got Dr. Stephen Vogel here. Could you come up? Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you. Thank you for this experiment that actually broke the anxiety. I love what they have created, and I think we can work with it very well. Thank you so much. Again, if you can stay here for a minute. I also want to thank Ahmed Abdel Ali. And our third colleague, Fahim Gafi. And this is only the first of many, many collaborations to come from us. Yes, thank you so much. We cannot end without thanking our lovely, exceptional interpreters. Come down. Every year, and it's amazing to have them up there, you know, catering for all of us from different linguistic backgrounds. One day we would like to have them here. We've got two interpreters, Valerie Aoun and Hasna Baraki. As you see, we love flowers. So first, Valerie Aoun. We feel that she's been with us from the beginning. Thank you so much. Now, finally, I would like to call my team to the stage. Do I need to call your names? Jihad, happy birthday. Haytham, Haytham, Zarqa. Haytham. Nada. Zarqa. Mirna. Layla, where's Layla? Sadi. Mesty, Rocky, Amin, Riman, Haytham, Riman, come on. Hamish. Every year, I thank the hero of the conference. And it hits me. It has to be a collaborative thank you. I know that you thank her every day. because you know her by name. And I think as a group, we need to. I think all of us need to thank her in one voice. So thank you so much, Fatma Afawna. While thinking about next year and what can we do to bring it back next year, please stay in touch with us. We love having you. There's an opportunity for taking pictures with us. If you want to, please feel free. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day and see you next year.
عشنا؟ ما أنا قاعد